What's going on, everybody? Adam here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Optronics RV dome light. If you're looking to maybe light up a room in your RV, maybe even on the outside of your RV or enclosed trailer, or if you're just on the inside like this, it's going to be a great light for you. It's going to give off a lot of brightness. It's about 6 diodes. It's pretty bright, and it is LED, so it's not really going to take a whole lot of load. It's going to be for your 12-volt DC systems. It's only going to draw about 0.02 amps. That's hardly anything, especially compared to any incandescent type bulb. What I really like about it is it looks really good. I like the bezel, and the cool thing about it is touch sensitive. So if you touch it like that, it'll go off, and then of course it'll come back on. I really like that just because there's no bulky switch, and it's just kind of cool and sleek. People don't know how to turn it on, just be like, just touch it. It's kind of like a clap on, clap off. It's kind of a cool little feature, and I really like that. One thing about this that I also like is the fact that it's an enclosed system, so you don't have to worry about putting any seals or anything around it. The water's not going to get to it if you plan on putting it outside. It isn't going to be activated by touching the outside bezel or even the outside LEDs here. What you got to do is press right in the center and it'll turn on. If you're a little off center, it probably won't do it, so be sure to press it right in the center to get it on and off. One thing about this light is it's pretty small, but it puts out a lot of brightness. It's really hard to look at, honestly, and it really is low profile. It's small, about 3 inches in diameter, and it's only going to sit off the wall about 3/8 of an inch, which isn't a lot at all. So if you do end up putting it maybe up top or even on the side, it's not really going to stick out a lot, so you won't even know it's there until you touch it, and you'll definitely know it's there after that. I really like this because it is touch and it's also waterproof. That is 2 things I really like. And the third thing is that it's LED. If you have incandescent bulbs in your trailer or your RV, you are using so much unnecessary energy. If you go with LEDs, you're really going to save a lot. So you can put twice as many lights, maybe even 4 times as many lights if they're LED compared to the incandescent, and draw about the same amount. There really isn't much else to go over besides the installation. So if you stick around, we're going to show you how. First things first, we want to figure out exactly where we want our light. I'm going to just put it right here to replace the light that was here already. And if you have wires ran, awesome. We can skip that step. But if you don't, run some wires. We're going to need a positive and a negative. So now that that's done, you can go ahead and take the bezel off, set that to the side for now. And then you can go ahead and check out our 2 wires. So right here, we're going to have the white being negative and black being positive. It's opposite of what I have here, so just make sure you triple check, make sure you connect them to the right ones, because if you don't, it probably won't work. So we'll go ahead and start with the ground. I'm using some heat shrink butt connectors, so I'm going to put this down for a second. I like to just do 1 wire at a time. So go ahead and strip your wires back, twist them together, and then take our heat shrink butt connector, twist it on. If you don't have any, we do. So just go on our website, add as many as you need, and you are good to go. No need to run to the hardware store. So go ahead and crimp that down. Make sure it's nice and tight. Give it a good tug, because we don't want that to fall out, especially when we put our wires back in there. So I'm going to do the same thing with our positive wire right here. And same deal, crimp her down. And then make sure she's good and tight, just like that. And then we can go ahead and take our light and do the same exact thing. Again, these wires are not colored the same, but that's why I always recommend that you test the function. You match your wires by function, not by color. This is a perfect example for that. So go ahead and do the same thing. Crimp it down. Give it a tug. And the same thing for the other wire. Currently I have all the power cut, so we're not going to see any lights lighting up. And I highly suggest doing that whenever you're doing any type of wiring. Cut that power just so there's no juice going through the wires we're messing with. All right. Now that that's done, you can go ahead and get a heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, you can get away with maybe a hair dryer or something. It might take a little bit longer than this, but these are the best way to really bind two wires together. Keeps all that water out, and even if you didn't crimp it down well enough, this rubber will do a good job to keep those wires in place. I always just like doing a good job now so you don't have to do it again later. Perfect. One issue I ran into, on the back of this, it says that the black wire is positive and the white wire is negative. That's how we hooked it up before, and you can remember how they weren't colored correctly. But we didn't get any light, so we dug in, and that was the issue. So don't necessarily go by that. Maybe just touch them together to make sure that it is the right configuration before you use two heat shrink connectors. That's just a little tip for you. But now we're gonna go ahead and kind of feed our wires back through the hole, just like that. And I'm gonna triple check this time to make sure that it's gonna light up. There you go. And if it isn't lighting up after you switch the wires, give it a good tap, because it might just be on the off position. But now we're good and we're ready to mount it up. The mounting hardware is not included, and when you are picking out your mounting hardware, you want to make sure it's going to be small enough, because right here it's going to kind of hit that LED, as you can see, and then also it's going to go, let me get this undone, it'll go on the outside of this ridge, which is going to prevent this bezel from securing properly. So you definitely want to get something small. What I'm doing is I'm using this little self-tapper, and it's a 1/4 inch drive. So this is going to be small enough for us to go ahead and get it lined up, and it's not going to interfere with that bezel, which is always a plus, because we want to put that on because it gives it a nice little look. So just a quick tip, we can go ahead and line it up with this existing hole right here. Get it started and take our 1/4 inch socket and screw it down. We don't want to do it too fast. If you can't do it by hand, you can use a tool. But we don't want to crack this housing because it is a sealed system. Last step, now that it works and it is mounted down, we can go ahead and take our bezel and snap it on, just like that, and we are good. And that'll do it for a look at the Optronics LED RV dome light.